Okay, so in this lesson, we are going to make butter cookies and I have the ingredients here with me. I have butter, egg, vanilla extract, salt, castor sugar and the all-purpose flour. So this is a basic recipe which uses the creaming method. The creaming method is nothing but we need to be adding the butter and beat until the butter gets light, and then we add the sugar into it and beat the butter and the sugar for about 5 to 7 minutes on medium high speed until the butter and sugar becomes very light, pale, creamy and fluffy. So that is the most important step in a lot of recipes. So this is very important that we have to learn this at this stage. After the butter and sugar becomes creamy, we will be adding the egg into it and beat for about 1 minute until the egg gets incorporated properly into the butter sugar mixture, and then we add the vanilla extract and beat just until the vanilla extract gets incorporated. And as the first step, we would have sifted the all-purpose flour and the salt together, and so that will be the part of dry ingredients. And once we have all the wet mixed up in the stand mixer, we will be adding the dry ingredients and fold them, and then we have the dough. And obviously that is a very soft dough, so that will be the first step as well. We will be cling wrapping the entire dough, freezing it to get back onto the next step. So let's begin with the first step here. So I am going to sift the dry. So I am setting aside. So the sugar will be part of the creaming method. So what we need to sift here will be the all-purpose flour and the salt. So I am adding, so that's a bigger bowl, and then I have a sieve, a metal sieve, into which I am going to add the all-purpose flour, and then I am adding the salt also, and then I am going to sift it together. So sifting also just gives more space and gives more volume and keeps the flour very light and makes it easy to get incorporated at the end. Okay, so once the dry ingredients are sifted, we just set it aside until it is ready to use. Now here I have the stand mixer, but you could use your hand mixer as well. So you really don't need to use a stand mixer, but if you have it, then it makes your work easier. Now what I am going to attach into this stand mixer is the paddle attachment. Now if you are using a handheld beater, then the regular beater would be quite fine. Okay, so into this I am going to add the butter. I've just cut them into cubes, so incorporating it in the beater will be easier. Okay, so I'm just going to add the butter, all of them together, and I'm going to beat the butter until it just becomes light and all the cubes are getting broken up. So I did increase the speed, so making sure the butter is just broken down, and now on top of this I am going to add the sugar. And now I have to continue to beat for about 5 minutes on medium high speed. I am also going to check in between how the consistency is, and I also have to scrape down the sides because you want all the sugar and the butter to get incorporated well. I'm just going to stop and show you how the consistency looks like. Okay, so the sugar is starting to combine with the butter, but you can still see the color is not very pale yet. Now by continuing for a few more minutes, like 3 to 4 more minutes after this, we can see that the color changes and this becomes really very light. Okay, so I'm going to scrape down so we don't leave out any part of the butter and sugar without getting incorporated well. and I'm again going to continue beating this for 3 to 4 more minutes. As for the next stage, I just wanted to show how the consistency changes, because if you're using a hand beater or a stand mixer, you know, the timing could vary, but what you need to look for to compare is the texture and the color. It will just become paler than what it was in the previous stage. Now again I'm going to continue beating for 2 more minutes. So now it's been beating well, and now you can see how nicely it is fluffed up, and then you can see the color. It's just become really very pale. So this is what we are looking at, and you will stop at this stage when you see the butter and the sugar is just creamed up really well. Okay, so on top of this, I'll still go scrape down the sides. So scraping down the sides at each stage is very important, because we don't want to leave out any of the ingredients without getting mixed up properly. Into this, I'm going to add that egg, okay, and after the addition of egg, it has to beat for about a minute, because we want the egg to be properly incorporated. So just let's check it once to see how it looks like once the eggs are incorporated, which is like 1 egg we have used here. And the timing for butter and sugar is more, and after adding egg you really don't have to, you know, kind of beat for too long, and that's why I have a check for 1 minute, and then the eggs are fully incorporated. You just will see that all the 3 ingredients are together into one complete solid mass. Okay, so into this we'll add the vanilla extract and beat for about say 30 seconds until we have the vanilla fully incorporated into the dough. Now you can see the beautiful color change with the vanilla, and then that is also nicely incorporated. Let me scrape down. So into this I'm going to add the dry, which is the all-purpose flour, and the salt that was sifted. I'm going to add all of it together, and I'm going to use the silicone spatula itself to fold. So after the addition of flour, you have to be really very careful that you should not over beat or over fold as well. But I'm just going to use the beater for a few seconds until the flour also gets incorporated, but I'm going to be really very careful and not allow it to over beat. Okay, so I'm just making the dry flour become a bit wet with the butter sugar mixture, after which I see like they are all together as crumbs. Now I am ready to use the beater, but I am just going to beat just until I see the dry traces of the flour just combines with the entire dough. So it's not even taken me 10 seconds for the entire thing to combine, and because I should not overbeat, I'm just going to remove it from the stand mixer and then check on the dough. I'm going to clean the spatula out and remove the dough from the beater, the paddle attachment. Just going to scrape it down and then combine everything. Make sure everything has been mixed well. So this is the dough. It's soft, but we are going to cut them out into slices, and I'm going to show you a few different ways in which the butter cookies can be tried out as variations. Now before that, this needs to be frozen, and to make it firm enough to allow it to cut and then work on different shapes, okay, for which I'm just going to cling wrap the dough. To show you the different variations, I'm going to divide this dough into two, okay. So I'm just having the cling wrap. So the first half I'm just going to flatten out like a disc, because that I'm going to roll and then cut them out into circles, okay. So this will be the first dough. I'm just putting them together. I'm going to flatten out, so this getting soft, harder in the freezer will be even, okay. Just making it flat, and then make sure the cling wrap is quite tight enough that there is not any air pockets locked inside. Okay, so this will be one dough that's flat, and the other one also I'm going to cling wrap, but this one I'm going to make like a log, because I just want to roll it like a log, and then again I'm going to cut them out. So this one I'm going to roll it like a log. So I'm just going to place them not together, but I'm just going to make sure I'll be able to shape it in the form of a log. I'm just going to wrap it around. I'm just going to roll it a bit tight, so I'll just get rid of any air pockets inside, because when I'm just going to cut it, I want the slices to come out well. Also make sure the sides are tight. And depending on whether you want the shape in the form of a rectangle, because we're just going to start slicing from here, but then if you want it like a circle, then make sure after just tightening the dough inside, just make sure you're just rolling it and have a even log, so you will have discs that you cut, they're all of the same diameter, same size. Okay, so once this log is rolled, I'm just going to use a tray, so I can transfer this into the freezer. Just make sure you're just placing on a tray that goes inside your freezer. So now I'm going to get back once this log and this flat disc of the butter cookie dough, once it's frozen, I'm going to get back and show you how to cut them into slices and to bake them, showing you different variations.